Some people think that fishing with tip-ups isn't as effective as jigging with a rod, but sometimes a simple hook and minnow presentation can get a lot of fish topside. Today we're heading out fishing with one mission, and that's to try every kind of tip-up we sell at SCHEELS. We're going to fish exclusively with these tip-ups all day, show you the value of each one so that you can decide which one works best for you.
To keep the test fair, we're going to use the same Northland Mini Predator rig on all these tip-ups with minnows.
By the end of this video, you're going to be able to know how to set up each of these rigs and figure out which one best fits in your sled.
The first one we're going to set up is the original style tip-up. Let's get to the hole. I'll show you how it's done. All right, to get this thing set up, we have a depth bomb. We're just going to hook that on one of the treble hooks here, or drop it all the way down to find bottom. So here's the bottom. I'll set that to the side of me. We're just going to set it up probably a foot off the bottom. We're going to grab a minnow out of here. We have the wind coming from my left to right, so when we set this up, we're going to set it up so the flag is going with the wind. So that way we don't have the wind blowing the flag up when we don't actually have a fish on there. I'm going to run one hook just behind the dorsal fin right at the top of the minnow. One right behind, one right in front. So it's going to hang them just like that. And these are going to be weighted up on top of the Predator rig, so you really don't need any extra weight to it if you want a natural looking minnow down there. It can kind of freely swim around but still hold it tight to the depth where you want it. We're going to reel this up from the bottom a little bit to keep the minnow up off the bottom. All right, so we have the minnow down to the depth that we want. Our wind is blowing from left to right here, so we're going to put the flag down going this way so we don't get any false flags. Then there's two different settings on here. This side will be for a bigger minnow. This side will be for a smaller minnow if you're using like fatheads or anything. So we're going to set it on the bigger side, see what we can get.
Next one we're going to set up is the insulated round ones. These ones are going to be perfect for sub-zero days when it's cold and you don't want your hole freezing over. Let's get there and I'll show you how to set it up. All right, so like I said, these circle ones are insulated. There's a lot of benefits to these ones. So like on a day where it's really, really cold outside, you're worried about your hole freezing over, this is gonna get you a little extra time before that hole does freeze over. Some of them have storage in them. They fit in a 5-gallon bucket really well, which is nice for transport, so you can carry a bunch of them at one time. But I kind of have a system for setting these ones up, so let me show you. So on the last one, Justin showed you how to use a depth bomb to find the depth of where you wanna set your minnow on that. This one, I'm gonna use a Vexilar. So what I'll do is I'm gonna pop the transducer down, and that's obviously gonna show me the depth. And that way I can set this exactly where I want it without having to clip anything extra onto the line. It's a little more a hassle to carry the Vexilar with you, but if you're setting a bunch of tip-ups, it makes it pretty quick. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do, pull the flag out, set that flag all the way up so you can see it, pull this guy down, and then like we said before, we're running the same Northland Mini Predator rigs on all of these. So just like Justin said, we're gonna hook right in front of the dorsal, and then put the other one right behind it, and then it's already pre-weighted, so we're going to set that guy down. So you can see it dropping down right there. We're going to get pretty close to the bottom. I'm going to set this, reel it back up a little bit with our top. Get it just a foot or two off the bottom. Pull the Vexilar cord out. Set it down. Make sure it looks good. And just like Justin said on the other one, the wind is kind of coming this way, so what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this. We're going to set it on the big minnow setting with the wind, just like that. So when a fish takes it, you're going to flag up, just like that.
All right, next one we are setting up is going to be the Clam Predator. This is a fairly new tip-up, got a lot of really cool features on it. So you can set it up one of two different ways. So the first one is you have an automatic hook set method where you've got your rod going in, bending down, and then when it gets triggered, it's gonna do that automatic hook set. Or there's a second piece here, you can swap this out, and then you can do more the traditional iFish Pro style of tip-up where it doesn't automatically set that hook. It's just gonna be hanging up here, and then we'll actually use the flag on that portion of it, so it's going to trip the flag, and then you'll know when you have a fish. I also like to use a bait feeder one on this one when you're doing the non-hook setting method, because then it's going to allow that line to free spool out basically when you don't have the bail open. So works really slick. So setting this thing up, basically it's got a couple of pegs here. You can pull this out. This knob is going to adjust how far you want to set it out. So if you have a shorter rod, you're going to have it in. If you've got a middle rod, you're going to have it out. We've got, I believe, a 36-inch rod here, so we're going to have it set out quite a ways. I recommend playing around with this thing when you get it, you know, get it all set up and test it out, because, you know, there's some moving pieces in here, and it's not the most intuitive immediately, but once you set it up a couple of times, it's super easy. So I have it set up here. Basically, I'm going to adjust exactly where I want it on my rod. So you can either back it out all the way, depending on if you've got like a really parabolic rod, or in this case, this one isn't quite that parabolic, so I'm gonna leave it out a little ways so the angle isn't quite as steep. And basically I'm gonna check and I'm gonna see, okay, yeah, this is about where I want it. So what we're doing is we've got a mini Predator rig, and we're gonna put a big, healthy, lively shiner on there. And we're gonna try and catch a big fish with it. So we've got a couple levers here. So this back lever, you can see it's flat here. We want it on the top of this second lever. So you have it on the top here. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the rod tip, and then we're gonna hook our rod tip right onto this. And since this was on the top, it's creating that tension and keeping it there. So also what we can do is if we take this front little lever and we push it all the way back, it's gonna end up locking this in place. So like this isn't gonna move. You can move it around, do whatever you want. You make sure you put it back into this regular position when you're fishing. Otherwise the fish is gonna try and take it and it's not gonna go anywhere. But basically, so, okay, now we've got the line. We put the line through this little eyelet, and I'm gonna move back a little bit just to make sure that I don't get smacked with a rod. And so now we've got it basically set up. So now when the fish takes it, it's going to put a little down tension, and then it's going to come up, and then you have your hook set. So very neat little rig. So the second way we're gonna do it is if we're not doing the automatic hook set method. So basically we're gonna pull this pin, and then we're gonna switch assemblies here. So I'm just gonna keep this in my pocket so I don't lose it. And I'm gonna switch to this other non-auto hook set assembly. Pin goes right in, and now we got the line. So there's a little rubber slit right here. So you're gonna put the line right next to that, and then it's gonna feed right through this loop again. So now this time, when the fish takes it, it's gonna pull that down and it's gonna pop the flag instead of doing the automatic hook set. And as I mentioned, I'm using a bait feeder on this one. So I'm flipping the bait feeder open. The fish has ended up taking that, and then it's basically free spooling. It doesn't have that tension. So your line's not going all over the place. Fish is taking it, and then you're grabbing this, you're giving it a quarter turn to engage it, and then you're ready to do battle with your rod. So great way to do it. Make sure if you are using a bait feeder, do not have the bait feeder option on the auto hook set, because then it's just gonna free spool and then it's not gonna do that hook set.
Next up, we have the jaw jacker. It's kind of similar to the iFish Pro, where you're going to use a rod. These are now legal in Minnesota. They have an automatic hook setter. They pack up extremely small. So if you want to run a bunch of them, if you're out with buddies or whatever, they don't take up a lot of room in your sled or in a bucket. To set it up, we're going to pull the pin here. So you can slide this out depending on how long of a rod that you're using. There's different adjustments. This is going to be the rod holder. So there's 3 different levels that, like the angle which you can have that. So I'll pop that pin back in the middle. That's just gonna hold your rod up. And then like I said, you have different adjustments here. We're using a 36-inch medium rod. So we're gonna set it to a longer setting. We'll pop that pin back through. On the rod itself, there will be a little tag end that you have to put through the top. It will come with a spare on that second pin. That's what's gonna attach it to the jaw jacker to allow you to set your hook. So it's got 2 feet that are gonna kick out to hold it in place, and then pins that will go down. They'll hold it in nice. So when you're setting this up, It's a fairly simple process. You'll put the rod in. We have a loop on top here. So you're gonna pull the rod down and you're gonna put the loop right on this little blue piece. That's gonna flip down. And then you would flip this piece up. This turn dial here is just gonna be a tension setter. So depending on how big of a minnow you're using, you can either loosen or tighten that. And then you're gonna run your line right through the front here. So that's gonna hold in place like that. Now if you were to have your line down and a fish grabs that, you're gonna run your line through there, they're gonna pull down on it. It's gonna set your hook for you. You'll come over and that rod will just be sitting there fighting the fish already. That fish is gonna get hooked right away. Let's get a minnow on the Northland Mini Predator rig here. Let's get this jaw jacker set up. For the jaw jacker, it's on the rod, so if you want to swap to a different rod or anything, it's going to be extremely quick to just move that tag from one rod to another. Or, like I said, it comes with a second tag, so if you want to, we're going to put it on the blue tag, and then we're going to flip this up, and that is going to keep this blue piece pinned down. If a fish grabs it, that is going to come up like that. So we'll flip this piece up. We're running a little bit bigger shiner, so we're going to tighten that down a little bit. But now that is set and ready to go. If a fish grabs it, they'll pull the line here. This piece will drop, which will pull the stopper off of this. That's going to come up, and your rod will set the hook for you.
Oh, we got a fan. Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Little pike.
Heck yeah. Anything crazy?
Very pikey.
Does it? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Hey-o. The jaw jackers.
Second one on the jaw jacker.
The jaw jacker is the juice today, huh?
So the next one we're gonna set up that I'm gonna walk you through is gonna be the iFish Pro. So this one, you're gonna be using a rod with this one instead of just your traditional tip up. So we have this one set up. There's actually a couple of different ways you can set this up, and I'm gonna walk you through both of them. So to get the initial depth, I have a Mega Live unit here with me. So I'm gonna get it about, maybe 2 foot off of the bottom. So you can see right now we're about halfway in the water column. So going good so far. I'm going to, my goal is to have it about 2 foot off the bottom. So I'm gonna stop at about 3 feet, and then I know I have probably a good foot. And then when it's set, it's gonna be right at my desired length. So, okay, this is gonna be sitting right at about the water. I'm a little bit higher than I'd like to be right now. Yeah, that's looking really good right there, because we're basically on an offshore hump right to this side, and it's tapering down into a basin. So fish are going to be roaming. We want it up a little bit so they can see it. So feeling good about that. So I can go and I can take the transducer out and then set this thing up. So again, like I mentioned, there's a couple of ways to do this. So the first one is I've got this little loop. Basically, it's going to be on the bottom side, and it's going to hit that bobber stop. And then, so put the iFish Pro unit right over this loop. I'm gonna put into this clip right here, and then I'm gonna have my flag right there. Set this down. So now we have it set. So basically when the fish takes it and pulls, it's gonna pull that down, and then it's gonna go. And then with my bait feeder, it is going to be basically free spooling so that fish can take it. Another way you can do it is, I forgot to put my little loop on there, or I want to use a different rod. What you can do is you can have your rod in there, and then you can take this little clip and you can basically just wrap your line around it a few times. So then you have it set, so then it's locked on there, and then you can drop it down. So then it's still going to take that, and then it'll just drop right off that, because this is going down vertically, and then you don't have to worry about that little loop. We've got the Humminbird Mega Live here. We're actually doing a different battery test, seeing how lithium batteries do when you've stored it overnight in the cold versus in a warm place, to see the performance on it. So you can check that out in a future video right below.
Mike, what do we got?
We got ourselves a fish on the Predator. Looked over and it's bent over. Break some piece here too. Oh, this one's taking some runs.
Oh!
There we go.
I think it's looking spicy.
It looks like pike.
Pretty pikey.
Old pike mama.
Hey, we got one.
Point for the good guys.
That'll do.
Nice. So for the next tip up, we're gonna do the finicky fooler hook setter. But you might think, why are we setting this up in a shack? It's a great question. We're actually filming another video at the same time where we test how much cold weather affects battery performance. So we've got a GoPro in here and we've got a Humminbird Mega Live unit powered by an Amped Outdoors battery that we've kept warm all night, and then we brought it into this warm shack here. And we're letting them run until they die, or at least until we're done for the day. We're gonna check on them and see what percentage they're at and compare that to the cold ones that we left outside. But right now, let's set up this foolicky finner. How about that? The finicky fooler. We're gonna set up the finicky fooler. So, first thing, comes out of the box, super nice and flat, so you can fit a lot of them in your sled or in a bucket or something like that, so it doesn't take up a whole lot of space. And there's only a couple moving pieces. So you slide the flag out, slide this rod holder out, set it on the ground. The rod holder goes into this little slit, and the flag goes into the slit next to it. So the nice part about this is, like the other ones we've done, they utilize a rod, so you can actually fight the fish instead of just having to hand light it in like the original style tip-ups. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a little bit of line out here. I'm going to set this down so that I can show you how to set it up. So, rod goes into the rod holder. There's going to be two little levers right here that you can kind of pop out. First one is going to be the one you put your line under. The second one that sticks out a little farther is the one you're going to hook your rod end to. And the nice part about the finicky fooler hook setter version is you can run it as a hook setter version, where obviously it'll set the hook for you when a fish takes it, or you can just set it as a normal tip-up style where it just holds the line for you and then it can free spool and give you a flag when the fish takes it. But for this example, I'll show you how to set the hook setter version first. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your line, you're not going to let it free spool, but you're going to take your line, set it down on the ground, and then basically put this little lever over top of your line. And then you're going to take this flag, bend it down, and then just put it over top of that little lever there, and that's what's going to hold your tension on that. So actually, I can show you this right now. This is basically how you're going to do it if you want to set it up as a non-hook set version, except for you'd want to take the bail, open that. When a fish takes it, it's going to pull that up. Boom. You have a flag. Fish is going to take line, take it until you get there, close the bail, set the hook. So that's how you'd set it up as a non-hook setting version. But if you want to do hook setting version, like I said, take the line, push it down, flip that first rod over top of the line, so it basically just sets the line and pins it to the ground. Take your flag, put it over top of that lever, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take the end of your rod and bend it down to then just grab the end of that second rod, or that second rod that sticks out of the front there. And that's pretty much the extent of it. Obviously, you'll have a little bit of tension on the line because your bait will be in the water. But what will happen then is the fish will take the line, and then it'll start pulling this up, boom, and then you'll set the hook. You'll be able to fight the fish like that. So let's set it up over top of the hole so I can show you what it really looks like. And drop it, and then I'm going to watch my Mega Live right there and see how far we have to go. And so guys, the finicky fooler is an awesome bang for your buck tip up, because like I said, whether you want to run it in hook setting mode or in just standard tip up mode, you got both of them in a very small platform. All right, bait's down there. I'm gonna move the reel so that the line is coming down on the bottom there. So like I said, I'm gonna pull the line down. I'm gonna take this first little lever and just put it over top of the line like that. Bend the flag down. Thread that little clip over top of that lever, and then I'm going to bend this down to just grab on that lever right there. I'm going to slide it a little closer so we'll be up over top of the hole. Let go of that. Just a little bit closer. And we are set up. So like I said, if a fish wants to grab that, they're going to take it, boom, flag's going to go up, I'll be able to fight it like that, and then we'll have a fish. I've set the finicky fooler a few times, and I like how simple it is. Like, it just seems really easy. There's not a lot to it. the levers, I mean, if you first look at it, you might not know where they go, but like if you set it one time, you're like, oh, this is super simple.
Right.
But I mean, then circle insulated tip up, like it's basically the same as like the OG style tip up that you've set, but obviously just keeps your hole insulated longer.
Yeah.
And like you just went and checked on the non-insulated one. That's frozen over. That's why we got the spud bar here to pop it open. But the circular one you said was still good.
Yes.
So I mean,
that's really nice.
Yeah, that's handy. I mean, what'd you guys think about yours? The ones that you set up?
The jaw jacker I was impressed with.
Yeah.
Collapses down super small, doesn't take up a lot of room. Very easy to set up, and got 2 fish.
That's the one we caught the most fish
Yeah.
on. So far anyway.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm a big fan of doing the tip up style stuff with a rod. So I liked both the iFish Pro and the Predator. I especially like the Predator because you can, like you have that auto hook set, but if you don't want to do the auto hook set option, or if like you don't have a rod that quite fits it the way you really want it to, or don't feel super comfortable putting a certain rod in there, you can still do like the manual hook set. Pair it with a bait feeder, it's really good. But I mean, the auto hook set is a super nice feature. I mean, we just caught that pike on it, and it was pinned in there pretty good, and I even had to like curb stomp the ice to get it out. But yeah,
I think it comes down to a lot of it's probably two things, like budget and then ease of use, right? I mean, if you're rocking on a budget, I mean, the cheaper ones like that, the original tip up, that's like $9.99 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that's super cheap. The insulated ones, 15 to 20 to 30 bucks maybe. And then if you want to step up into being able to use a rod with it, you spend a little bit more money, but you also get a little bit more enjoyment out of it, whether you want to, set the hook with a rod or if you want to hand over hand it. Kind of comes down to something like that too.
Yeah, I mean, say you're a family that wants to get into tip-up fishing and you're in like North Dakota where you can do 4 lines, you can get a whole bunch of those simple tip-ups and get out fishing at a super reasonable price and have a ton of fun doing it.
100%.
I mean, even when it's a false trigger, it gets that heart pumping.
It at least gets you to run over there and check it out.
It's a lot of fun going and chasing flags down.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun. We're going to keep an eye on them, and we're going to keep fishing. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. Hopefully you learned a few things on how to set some of the tip-ups, maybe which one might work for you to keep in your arsenal for this next winter. But as always, like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe, and we'll see you outdoors.